Chapter 3. Behold, I send my messenger, and he shall clear the way before me. And the Lord, whom you seek, will suddenly come to his temple, and the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in. Behold, he comes, saith the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire and a fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver. And there shall be they that shall offer unto the Lord offerings in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, and as in ancient days. And I will come near to you in judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. For I, the Lord, change not, and you, O sons of Jacob, are not consumed. From the days of your fathers you have turned aside from my ordinances, and you have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But you say, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and heave offerings. You are cursed with the curse. Yet you rob me, even this whole nation. Bring you the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and try me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall be more than sufficiency. And I will rebuke the devourer for your good, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your land, neither shall your vine cast its fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all the nations shall call you happy, for you shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Your words have been all too strong against me, saith the Lord. Yet you say, wherein have we spoken against you? You have said, it is vain to serve God. And what profit is it that we have kept his charge, and that we have walked mournfully because of the Lord of hosts? And now we call the proud happy? Yes, they that work wickedness are built up. Yes, they that try God are delivered. Then they that feared the Lord spoke one with another, and the Lord hearkened and heard. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in the day that I do make, even mine own treasure, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall you again discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serves God and him that serves him not. For behold, the day comes, it burns as a furnace, and all the proud and all that work wickedness shall be stubble, and the day that comes shall set them ablaze, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in its wings, and you shall go forth and gambol as calves of the stall, and you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I do make, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember you the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, for all Israel, even statutes and ordinances. Behold, I will send you Eliah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the land with utter destruction. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, in this chapter, we will, if you follow along in the King James Version, along about verse 18, we will be going to what is chapter 4 in the King James Version. But yesterday, we remember we was talking about the mitzvah, this commandment that's like a rule. It's like a commandment. It's a rule that's set, even a rule of example, which is set, which you can't get out of. God puts you in it, and that's what happens, see, because God does control all things in the earth. See, and God is telling even these ones that took up that seat, that went in and took over, tried to come in to the house of God, and was prophesying lies, and this was what was going on. This is how it always does. See, God sets this order, and it's like a wheel we've spoke of. It just keeps going around and around and around. It's like a record that's stuck almost. And the reason is because he is the God of justice, and he is the God of judgment. And we learned that this messenger is Levi. See, the messenger is Levi, and Levi is the joiner. And it refers even to that one in Ezekiel where he takes the two sticks and he joins them together, and they become one in his hand. And this is to make Israel a whole again, even, so to speak, and that the fact that this one having the work to use these two examples in the earth, even the witnesses that God made and set there as this example. But now we will find that this messenger, even this one that God sends, is Levi. See, he is the one who has the law. Even from the beginning, it was put in his mouth. We're going to pick it up here in verse 1 with, "Behold, I send my messenger, and he shall clear the way before me. And the Lord, whom you seek, will suddenly come to his temple, and the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, behold, he comes, saith the Lord of hosts. And behold, watch and see, and look, I send my messenger, and he shall clear the way before me." My messenger is Levi, the one whom was appointed from in the beginning. "And he shall clear the way before me. He shall be the one casting up the stones out of the highway. He shall be the one coming forth." And these stones represent we find out, these words of men that they've cast out of their mouth, and they just go and fall to the ground because of their not truth. But see, we find that the words of God do not fall to the ground. They go forth to accomplish. And he makes clear this way. He prepares the way of the Lord, saying, "Prepare the way of the Lord," because, see, God's come in judgment, and it's a warning going forth. God's coming in judgment. You have went astray. You do not obey the law of God, keep the ordinances and the statutes thereof. See, and God is come in judgment. And the Lord, whom you seek, will suddenly come to his temple, to God's temple, to where God set his throne, and we know God set his throne there after the judgments that he has made. And the messenger of the covenant, this messenger of the covenant, once again, that covenant, the same covenant God made in the beginning. Nobody can change the covenant. Nobody has the right to change the covenant. And the covenant was simple. God said he would be with you if you keep the law and keep his ordinances and keep his statutes. And this was the law, and this was the agreement thereof. And in the beginning, even in the beginning of the law, when he brought them forth up out of Israel, see, even in the beginning when they chose to have a king, God said, "If you will keep my law," and that was the qualifier, see, and it always will be the qualifier, because it is the covenant. The law is the covenant. See, it's the peace that God made, this peace covenant even, he offers to humanity this as the law of God, in that if you keep it, you shall live, and if you do not, well, you have been slain, and it is just that simple. This is the covenant that we delight in. See, and behold, he comes, saith the Lord of hosts, and behold, this law does come forth, because, see, sooner or later, as we found out, they make themselves known. They create this fat seat, and they're living off all the wealth. They're fleecing the people. They got all the great things, and we find out the people are oppressed. See, even in their understandings, they have to purchase knowledge as if someone has it to But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire and like a fuller's soap. And this fuller's soap, we know it's going to bleach it out. It's going to remove the stains. But who may abide that day? Who may abide? Who can stand up in the day of God's wrath and his judgment? See, when the law comes through and judges accordingly, every man to his way, see, because every man shall die for his own sins. This is the law, and this is that which is written. Turn, God said, no, and you shall live. Who can stand when he appears? Who can stand in the understanding of God's law? For it is like a refiner's fire. He is like the refiner's fire. This refiner's fire, just like that forge, that oven, we stoke it up, and what happens? The breath keeps entering into it, and finally the fire burns hot, and it consumes. It melts away the dross, it purifies the silver. 3, and he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver. And there shall be they that shall offer unto the Lord offerings in righteousness. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Just like I said, this refiner, just like somebody who runs the forge, running that furnace as a refiner and causing to pass through the refiner, see, this silver, this gold, to refine it, to purge it, burn away the dross, that polluted understanding that's within, see, purifying the silver, purifying your understandings even. These sons of Levi, these ones who join together, these are the ones who join together, and they are purged as gold and silver. And there shall be those that offer in righteousness, these offerings unto the Lord, even these offerings. These offerings are that which is given freely. We'll see these offerings, these atonements, these oblations, these free will gifts, even, so to speak, in righteousness and in justice and in judgment are they given. 4, then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, as in the ancient years. Then shall this offering of Judah, this offering, these oblations, these things they present to God of Judah, those are praisings, and Jerusalem, that place of peaceful teachings, be pleasant unto the Lord. And as in the days of old, as in the ancient years, when there's understanding, see, because when the messenger comes, he's going to present understanding to the people. The law is what it is. It's always going to be the law. As in the days of old, as in the ancient years, even in the ways as in the past, these old understandings, these great understandings God gave even in the beginning. 5, and I will come near to you in judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, and the widow, and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will come near to you in judgment, even all those who are keeping God's law, those ones who seek God, see, those ones who are in accordance with the Word of God, see, God will come near, even in judgment, see, against the others who are oppressing. And this is what it is. These sorcerers, those ones who speak all these words, and they always have something pleasant to say and always want to make some kind of ritual out of it. These adulterers are just simply these ones who commit adultery, so to speak. We know that is the law. God said, you shall not commit adultery. And this adultery here, though, is adultery of understanding. And they go out into all these other understandings of these not-a-gods, these polluted understandings. God said, you shall not do that. See, that God said, you shall not do that. Because, see, after the manner of all the other nations do they do. And this is what God said you shall not do. See, God give that to them to do. And to you, he said, you shall not do that. Against those that oppress these false swearers, and against the false swearers. These are just the ones, and to put it bluntly, are liars. They have no understanding of God. They teach for gain. They don't even know what understanding is. If it come up and bit them, they wouldn't know what it was. These are your liars, and that's what a false swearer is. And against those that oppress the hireling in his wages. These hireling of his wages, these ones who are worthy of what they've worked for, see, because they have worked for God, and they have worked in the law of God, and they are worthy of their wages. The widow, this one who's had her husband taken away. See, the widow is the woman. She is an understanding, see, that comes from something, and when her husband is taken away, that which she knew is gone. It has been made known that it's worthless. See, these ones who are left are the widows, and they are the fatherless as well. They have no one to give them understanding. They have no one to bring forth understanding to them so that they can take it into the earth, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And we know what the right of the stranger is. See, he shall be as a homeborn, saith the Lord. And that's the way it's been since the beginning. The one law. It's one law, see, and there is one law for all. We have to have a just set of balances, and we can't be respecters of people. And fear not me. They fear not me. See, when you do these things, you don't have no fear of God. You have no understanding. You have no respect, saith the Lord of hosts. 6. For I, the Lord, change not, and you, O sons of Jacob, are not consumed. For God says, I change not. I have not changed. My ways are the same. My ways are equal. They are just. You will walk in them. And you sons of Jacob, these ones, Jacob is the supplementer, and Jacob means this is like those that come in and they kind of take charge of something that really doesn't belong to them. But you sons of Jacob, you're not consumed. You're not consumed, God said, but you are. They stand in the fire, and what it is God causes the fire to burn all around, and they know not, God said, they know not that the fire burns all around. But you're not consumed in it, see. 7. From the days of your fathers you have turned aside from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But you say, wherein shall we return? See, not consumed in the fire. Why? Because God stands in the fire with you, constantly speaking to you. See, constantly trying to reach you. But from the days of your fathers you have turned aside from mine ordinances. You have gone aside from my ordinances and my understandings and my law, and have not kept them. You've not done them. You have contended. See, this is to contend with God. This is to contend with the Mighty One. And you have not kept them. You've returned unto me, God says. Return unto me. And I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But you say, wherein shall we return? How shall we return? Because, see, in your understanding, you don't think you've went astray from God. God says, when you violate my law, you've gone astray. In that moment you violate, you sin. And in the moment you sin, you die. Return unto me, God says. Calling, even in your grave, God calls to you constantly, saying, turn and return. 8. Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and heave offerings. Will a man rob God? Can you think you can rob God and get away with it? They think. They don't understand how they've robbed God. Yet you rob me, saith the Lord. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? How have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. In tithes and heave offerings. These heave offerings, this word's taryama, and what it is it's a willful contribution. See, it's something that you've done willingly. See, these tithes, in these tithes, and this word tithes, it's a tenth. See, that's what it is. It means 10. It comes from a word asar, and it's a whole list of that leads into this portion. See, of 10. This tenth, this portion of, and like I've said many times, 10 means the law. 10 means the law, and this portion, see, this tithe was the law. See, God said, you have to, this is the portion you'll give. This is the tithe. This is the tenth. This is the law. See, and that's it. In this is that which you do willfully. This is that is your heave offering. That is that willful contribution, is your observance to the law of God. 9. You are cursed with the curse, yet you rob me, even this whole nation. Even this whole nation. And we know he's referring to Israel, those ones who contend with God, those ones who contend with the Mighty One. See, these ones that constantly fight against the law of God, don't want to listen, don't want to hear it, got something else we can get around it. You're not going to get around God's law. It can't be done. Yet you rob me, God says. You're cursed with a curse. God's cursed you. He's made an example of you. You're blatant and right there in front of everybody. And yet you still rob God. You still won't obey the law. 10. Bring you the whole tithe into my storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and try me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall be more than sufficiency. Bring you now, bring it, the whole tithe, the whole law, into my storehouse, into the storehouse, that storehouse that belongs to God, that there may be food in my house. That there may be food, there may be substance, there may be nourishment in the house of God, this tithe, this portion of the law, even, all the law, that portion, see, that God set aside, and this is what you'll give. See? And see if God won't pour out a blessing. See? Bring it now. God says, try me now, herewith, try me with it. Do it. Try it. Try to put yourself in a position. Be obedient. Turn, God says. Turn unto me. And to my law and to my ordinances I gave you in the beginning. 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your good, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your land, neither shall your vine cast its fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. Turn, the blessing, pour out, see, God says. And I will rebuke the devourer for your good. See, God will rebuke that which devours, and for your good. For your good, it says. Who rebukes the devourer? God says, I do. Who sent the devourer? God said, I did. And it's just that simple. Who can rebuke the devourer but God himself? He who sent the devourer. And he shall not destroy your fruits of your land. These things which bring forth, these are that which is to be brought forth, even in understanding. Neither shall your vine cast its fruit before its time, before that period that it is supposed to bring forth. See, this vine, this understanding God gave even in the beginning. 12. And all the nations shall call you happy, for you shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. And all the nations shall call you happy. All the nations shall call you happy. Why? You turn unto God. You turn unto His understanding. You turn unto the law He gave you in the beginning for your own wisdom, for your own knowledge. And see if God won't pour a blessing out on you. 13. Your words have been all too strong against me, saith the Lord. Yet you say, wherein have we spoken against you? Your words have been all too strong against me, saith the Lord. You spoke harshly against me. If God has anger, does not God have compassion? Can you not hurt God's feelings in your disobedience, speaking harshly, having no understanding? These words you have spoken against God. Yet you say, wherein have we spoken against you? 14. You have said, it is vain to serve God. And what profit is it that we have kept His charge, and that we have walked mournfully because of the Lord of hosts? Okay, this is how you have said these things. It is vain to serve God. And what profit is it to keep His charge, these laws and ordinances of God? What profit is it? See, this is how you have hurt God. You have spoke harshly against Him in this, and that we have walked mournfully because of the Lord of hosts. And that it is mournful. You have said it is a hard thing, it is a burden to keep the law of God. And this is even trying to make a way around it, that it's not something that even has to be kept, listening to those that lie. 15. Now we call the proud happy. Yes, they that work wickedness are built up. Yes, they try God and are delivered. And now we call the proud happy, these that have exalted themselves, because that's who we're talking about, these proud, these exalted. See, God, yes, they that work the wickedness are built up. Those that work wickedness, evilness, deception, lies in their mouth, speaking, teaching all manners of ignorance for gain, having no understanding of the law of God. Nobody gave them authority to speak in the first place. And this is what's built up. Yes, they try God, see. They're trying. God created it. God did it. And they try God. God's going to make an example. They are delivered, see. They are delivered. They are delivered over to judgment, because none has understanding. None saying, turn. 16. Then they that feared the Lord spoke one with another, and the Lord hearkened and heard. And a book of remembrance was written before Him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon His name. Then they that feared the Lord, see, spoke one to another. All these that feared God spoke, and we'll find, see, and the Lord hearkened, the Lord listened, and He heard. And this is what God did. And a book of remembrance was written before Him. This book of remembrance, this book of to remember all those that kept the charge of God, that keep the law of God, see, that do according to God's understanding, even in the midst of all the judgment that He set in the earth, knowing that is the witness of the judgments of God in the earth, that make Himself known to us. 17. They shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in the day that I do make even mine own treasure. And I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serves him. And they shall be mine. They shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in the day. See, even in that day that He has prepared, that day I do make, saith the Lord. See, that day He prepares even that understanding. He has prepared even His own treasure. And I will spare them just like a man spares his own son. Just like a man spares his own son that works for him. God spares them, see, because they understand, they recognize God's judgment in the earth. They've seen these things. They know how God works. They go by the law. They have understanding. They have knowledge. They have wisdom of the law. God gave it to them in the beginning. He turns those that will listen, see. and those that forbear he calls to constantly. 18. Then you shall again discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serves God and him that serves him not. See, and that's the division right there. Him that serves God, him that does according to God's law, God's understanding he give you, his wisdom, part of his knowledge, he give you for your own good, to keep you, see, and him that does it not. You'll be able to understand this. Why? God makes it clear. God makes this line. He parts it. It's like the blade coming through. It's the law of God. See? And it parts the way. It judges as it goes. And the portion falls one way, or the portion falls the other. Now this is where if you follow along in the King James Version, we're going to end right here with this chapter 3. You're going to have a chapter 4 in your book, and this is where you would go there. You'll pick it up in 1. We'll continue here in 19. For behold, see, the day comes, it burns as a furnace, and all proud and all that work wickedness shall be stubble. And the day that comes shall set them ablaze, saith the Lord of hosts. It shall leave them neither root nor branch. For behold, now watch and see, the day comes. That understanding's coming. That understanding of the law of God that he give it to you in the beginning for your own good. You're not been obeying it. And society has fell into the pit of who knows what. It burns as a furnace. And all the proud and all that work the wickedness shall be stubble. See? And that's what they've become. Stubble. Burned up, see, by the judgment of God, the furnace that God created. And the day that comes shall set them ablaze, even that understanding. It's the law coming through. See, it's that judgment of God that he sends through. It's that fire that devours, and it sets them ablaze. They're judged. They fall one way or the other. One way or the other art you gone, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Neither root nor branch. Why? For it is consumed utterly. See, that's how the judgment of God works. 20. But you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness rise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and gambol as calves of the stall. But unto you that fear my name, saith the Lord, shall the Son of Righteousness arise. And this Son is that greater light, see, that God give to the day, and all the the understanding thereof, the law, see, of God, this of righteousness, this justice, this judgment, God said in the earth even, shall arise with healing, see, with healing in its wings. And that's what we've been talking about, that healing that comes forth, the true understanding of God, that it's God's work. God done this. God set it in the earth, and God says, turn, and you shall go forth and gambol as calves in the stall. You shall go forth and gambol. This word gambol is push. And what it means is jump around. Just like somebody's been let out of a cage, you'll jump around. 21. And you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I do make, saith the Lord of hosts. And you shall tread down the wicked, see, because why? God's gathering them up in the wine fats, see, you're treading under the feet. It's just another similitude, but they're ashes. Here they're ashes in this similitude. And what we find out is these ashes, because they are burnt. See, it's like a field that's been burned away, and all the stubble's been burned off, just like you would pre-burn a field in the spring before planting, under the soles of your feet. See this, in the day that I do make, saith who made it? God made it. See, God made the day, God made the night, God set the sun, God made the moon. See, God did it all. 22. Remember you the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, for all Israel, even statutes and ordinances, remember, see, this law that God gave Moses, that law, even the law in the beginning that he commanded Moses in Horeb. And we remember Horeb, see, that desert place, that place of the drought, see, that's where they were without water before. See, in the desert, in that dry place, and God poured out the law, God poured out understanding, God gave you statutes and these ordinances to keep you there. See, this was the manna, this was the water from the rock, it was all of it. It is what sustained, see, your coming through. 23, behold, I will send you Eliah, the prophet, before the coming of the great terrible day of the Lord. God will send you Eliah. My mighty one is God. See, my mighty one is God. He is the prophet. He is the one that speaks before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord, before the coming of the great and terrible day. See, that day of God's wrath and judgment when he pours it out. See, God's warning, calling you out before it comes. God says, prepare, see, the way, this way that's coming, because God's bringing the law through. The law's coming through, and it's going to divide one way or the other. This is the front edge of the blade. See, Eliah, the leading edge of the blade. Eliah, the prophet, he is the one that speaks out of the book. He is the one that speaks in the book as it comes in its sum. See, he is the spirit of prophecy. He is the understanding in the prophecies which God has made. 24. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the land with utter destruction. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children. Why? This is the compassion of God going forth. The Spirit that speaks from the book coming forth first, see, to divide. Why? Lest God return and smite the whole land with utter destruction. And that's what we don't want. See, we don't want that. So turn and return. All right. We're going to move now. We're going to move forward. And this is where the Testament ends. Some people call it the Old Testament. I call it the Everlasting Testament that lasts forever. Even that everlasting covenant, even that God gave in the beginning, the witness of it. We're going to go back, though, see, because we're going to make another trip through. There's a lot of books we didn't cover, so we're going to go back. I'm going to go back and do the book of Ruth, because Ruth was written during the period of Judges, and I'm going to see you there, I hope.